Michigan University, Department and School of Agriculture. So today we are going to talk about organic mulches, different types of mulching, how we can control the organic. So the organic mulches, such materials as straw, bark, and composted material can provide effective weed control. Producing the material on the farm is recommended since the cost of purchased mulches can be prohibitive and depending on the amount needed to suppress weed emergence. So an effective but labor-intensive system uses newspaper and straw. So two layers of newspaper are placed on the ground, followed by a layer of hay. So it is important to make sure the hay does not contain any weed seeds. Inorganic mulches, materials such as black polythene have been used for weed control in a range of crops in organic production system. After that, mechanical weed management. Mechanical weed management, labor intensive, but it is also one of the most effective method for managing the weeds. So the choice of implementation, timing and frequency will depend on the structure, form of the crop, and the type and number of the weeds. So the basically cultivation involves killing emerging weeds, fresh seed beads, seeds below the depth from which they will germinate. So in mechanical weed management, basically there is the cultivation which involves emerging weeds or burying freshly seed weed seed below the depth from which they will germinate. So next is stale seed bed. Stale or false seed bed technique of flushing out weed seeds from the soil, which works as a thought and works by depleting the seed bank. After the soil is cultivated, 2 to 3 weeks before the sowing, emerging weeds are killed, flaming or light cultivation. So that by helping to reduce the seed bank, this technique reduces subsequent emergence of weeds. Then next is crop rotation. Crop rotation has been at the heart of the organic weed management system since medieval times and has persisted well into the 20th century due to its proven effect on weed populations. So, the goal of a crop rotation is an unstable and so the crop rotation, which has been at the heart of the organic weed management system since medieval times and has persisted well into the so the goal of a crop rotation is to create an unstable environment that discourages weeds from becoming established in the field. So, deciding the sequence of crops a farmer must take into the type of soil he or she is working with, the climate, and the crop. Then, the crop establishment and competition. First is the sanitation. Sanitation, so that is using clean seed will prevent the introduction of new weed problems and will avoid planting a generous crop of weeds with your desired crop. Then allelopathy. Allelopathy is an alternative and organic approach to weed control that uses chemicals that are excreted from a plant to cause either direct or indirect harm to weeds by negatively affecting their germination, growth, or development. So, the nearly weeds can be affected by allelopathic chemicals entering the rhizosphere from the roots or the aerial part of the crop plants. Soil fertility and condition. In an organic system, it is important to rely on the biological activity of the soil as the main source of fertility and favorable soil structure. So, in an organic system, it is important to rely on the biological activity of the soil as the main source of fertility and favorable soil structure. So, an active and diverse soil microbial population is the key, key to growing healthy, high yielding organic crops. So, next is variety selection. Variety selection, a careful selection of crop varieties which is essential to limit the weeds pathogen problems and satisfy markedly feeder needs. It is important to consider the planting diseases resistant varieties if certain pathogens are prevalent in the area. So, any crop variety that is able to be created and is able to grow more rapidly, then the weeds will be an advantage. After that, go herbicides. Mycoherbicide, that means herbicides, especially soil applied, have harmful effects on both human and animal. In this context, fungal pathogens control specific weeds and continue to survive on the weeds year after year, unlike herbicides that are to be applied every year. So the characteristics of mycoherbicides, that is, they should be culturable in artificial media. Next is they should use abundant indoors. And third one, they should be stable in storage. Fourth is should be genetically stable. Fifth one is effective under field condition, tolerant to variation in temperature. Next one is these herbicides should be compatible with other chemicals, culturable practices for controlling water intensity, Alteria, Ecoremia, Sarcospora, PROP, Sarcospora, Rodmani, Urido, Ecoremia, and Rhizotonia solidi. Mycoherbicide, myco that means fungus. That's why they should be culturable in artificial media. Basically, should be also tolerant to variation in temperature, and these herbicides should be compatible with other chemical for controlling water handling. So these are the species of mycoherbicides. After we need food quality and what is organic food, in which we will talk about production, chemical food contaminants, microbial food contaminants, food irradiation, aims of organic production and processing. So first is the introduction. Expect their food to be enjoyable, nutritious, and safe. So quality attributes include first is nutritional, second is organoleptic properties, appearance like color, texture, and taste. And next one is functional properties. Then chemical food contaminants in which like synthetic pesticide, herbicide, fertilizers. Next is chemical food contaminants in which like synthetic pesticides, herbicides, fertilizer, fungicides, veterinary drugs in which antibiotic. Synthetic pesticide, fertilizer, fungicide, veterinary drugs, in which including like antibiotics, growth hormones, synthetic preservatives, and additives, and drip radiation. So first thing is pesticide residue, in which like organically produced foods which contain less residues than conventionally produced food. Then next one is organic certification schemes specify that land must be free from chemical inputs for 2 to 3 years prior to organic production. Then nitrates from fertilizers. Nitrates contain of organically grown crop, particularly nitrophilic leaf, root, and tuber crops. So is reported to be significantly lower than in conventional soil. After that, a quality control is standard. So in which like what are their contents, what is the introduction, IFOAM, aims and activities of IFOAM, their standards. So the four IFOAM main principle of organic production, Codex Alimentarius guidelines, Codex guidelines for organic production system. So their standard, the four IFOAM main principle of production, Codex Alimentarius guidelines, Codex guidelines for organic production system, European Union regulations, national standard for organic production, that is NSOP, and common issues in various standards. So, first is the introduction. Introduction, in order to assure the consumer that a product is produced organically and a kind of quality control is needed. So the organic quality is based on standards, certification and accreditation. All organic food which is produced and handled the organic quality which is based on the standard, inspection, certification and accreditation. So the all organic food which is produced and handled according to a strict rule, that is called organic standard. These standards those cover all aspects of food production from animal welfare and wildlife conservation. Wildlife conservation to not having artificial food additives. So, in next we will also discuss about uh, what is the IFOAM, what is the aims and objective of IFOAM, what are their standards, the four IFOAM main principle of organic production, what is the Codex Alimentarius guidelines, what is the Codex guidelines for organic production system, then the national standard for organic production, that is NSOP, and what are the common issues in various standards. So basically, uh, there is the 25% of India's population at 3 square meal per day. So green revolution was only concentrated in area having fertile soil and adequate water supply. So this 30% of the area which is contributed 60% of the food production, while 70% of the area which is contributed only 40%. So this 30% of the green revolution area which is contributed 60% of the food production, while 60% of the area which is contributed only 40%. So in intensive farming system, organic agriculture which decreases the yield, in the green revolution, in intensive farming system, organic agriculture which decrease the yield. In the green areas, green revolution area, that was irrigated land and well endowed water regions, conversion to organic usually leads to almost identical yields. So, in intensive farming system, basically the organic agriculture which decrease the yield. The green revolution areas, there is the conversion to organic usually leads to almost identical yield. Then in traditional rain-fed areas, that is with low external inputs, organic agriculture has shown the potential to increase the yield. So in traditional rain-fed areas with low external input, organic agriculture has the potential to increase the yields under restricted water availability or rain-fed condition. So there is the difference in crop yield between organic and conventional production narrow down to between 10 to 15%. So there is the technical team which is constituted by the Ministry of Agriculture made the following observation. So the first is the country at present is not in a position to completely eliminate the use of chemical, especially the fertilizer. Fertilizer can gradually be reduced, then control on commercial scale of organic manures, and IPM is the solution. So the task force on organic farming, which is set up the Union Ministry of Agriculture during 2001, which brought out the status of organic farming in the country. So, in its report, it is stated organic farming is being practiced by thousands of farmers in the country in an unorganized way. Like that, these are the consequences of the use of high yielding varieties in which more fertilizer, then more cost, then more borrowing, distress farmers, food and fodder, less nutritive and chemically, encourage monocropping, reduce nutritional security, then goal profit, not the welfare, precursor of chemical agriculture, succulent pest and disease which uses one third of the applied fertilizer, then reduce the biodiversity and then leaves soil unproductive in the long. Are the effects of green revolution. Chemical companies that develop highly toxic damaging chemical for the purpose of welfare will decide to turn their attention to chemical control of insects, disease, and unwanted plants. So, in natural fertility of soil. Third is destruction of soil structure, aeration, and holding capacity of soil, susceptibility of soil to water and wind erosion. In US, the 15 per hectare soil is lost. So in India, it is even more. There is cutting of reservoir, diminishing return on import, discriminate killing of useful insects, microorganisms, and predators that naturally check process crop damaged by insect pest. And endanger the health of the farmer and workers who produce them for more than 20 years have increased the risk of developing certain type of cancer. Poisoning the food with highly toxic pesticide residue. So first is poisoning the food with highly toxic pesticide residue. Cash crops replacing nutritious food crops. Chemicals changing the natural taste of the food, and high inputs increasing the natural taste of the food. high input increasing the agriculture expenses, increasing the farmers' work burden and tension, depleting the fossil resources, and increasing the irrigation which needs of the land. Uh, in next class, we will discuss about what is the concept of organic agriculture. Up to here, we just completed what is the organic farming, organic production, and how we can maintain the quality of the food in organic production, and what types of content we have to use in organic agriculture. Here, maintenance of base culture for initial multiplication. Best substrate is cow dung. Base agriculture should be multiplied on this substrate. For any commercial ventures, maintenance of seed culture is a must. So, mixing of cow dung plus pieces of banana pseudo stem in 1:1 gives more number of worms due to more multiplication rate. So 1 year old semi decomposed rice straw makes the worm to lay as many cocoons as possible. After that, methods of vermicompost. So basically, there are different types of method of vermicompost by which we can prepare the vermicompost. So first is the indoor method, outdoor method. In outdoor method, basically we require pit system, heap system, brick system, and kadapa slab method. So first of all, recycling of organic residues, contents, introduction, and their classification. Introduction, like agriculture wastage can be considered to include crop after harvest and primary processing, tree residues, organic plant residues from social forestry, animal excreta, and processing leftover from the slaughter. So lower and agro-industrial wastes. Thus, agricultural wastes comprise all organic wastes produced and disposed of or used in primary agricultural production. After that, it is estimated that these organic wastes available in India can supply about 7.13 and 7.6 million ton of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium respectively. So, the important organic wastes potential in India, like animal wastes, are 2018 million ton, crop residues 407 million ton, municipal wastage 29 million ton, rice husk 15 million ton, rice bran 2.5 million ton, baggage 5.3 million ton, press mud 2 million ton, and sawdust 2.2 million ton. After that, introduction to biofertilizers. So, in which basically the contents of biofertilizers, introduction, their definition, importance, and their benefits. According to an estimate, 240 million tons of food grains will be required to feed about 1 billion expected populations by 2000 AD in India, and to achieve this milestone, a sizable quantity of mineral fertilizers will be required. So, the total fertilizer requirement of our country would be 23 million tons as against the present consumption level of 13 million tons per annum. So, the problem is so acute that it is beyond any single type of nutrient source to accept the challenge of appropriate nutrient supply. Integrated use of all the sources such as mineral fertilizers, organic manures, biofertilizers, etc., is the only alternate for improving soil fertility. So, the use of organic manure and mineral fertilizer is in practice, but use of biofertilizer in agriculture is not very popular. Hence, there is a need to make its use popular. So, the increased cost of fertilizer production, coupled with progressively increasing use of chemical fertilizers, particularly needed by HYV, that is high yielding varieties, are adding to the cost of cultivation of crops and causing nutritional enhancement in Indian agriculture. Nutrient need of growing plant can be met through a number of sources. So the major sources of plant nutrient are mineral fertilizer, organic manure, recycled waste and byproducts, biological nitrogen fixation, natural minerals, and to lesser extent nutrient recycled through the irrigation water and precipitation. So these supplement measure plant nutrients and the plant productivity for sustainable agriculture. Now let's come to the definition of biofertilizer and what are the biofertilizers. So, biofertilizer is a substance which contains living microorganisms which, when applied to seed, plant surfaces or soil, colonizes the rhizosphere or the interior of the plant and promotes the growth by increasing the supply or availability of primary nutrients to the host plant. Biofertilizer microbial nutrient. So, the biofertilizers are the products containing living cells of different types of microbes which have an ability to mobilize nutritionally important elements from non usable to usable form through biological process. Biofertilizer is a substance which contains living microbes which, when applied to seed, plant surface, or soil colonize the rhizosphere or the interior of the plant and promotes growth by increasing the supply or availability of primary nutrients to the host plant. Biofertilizer are the product containing living cells of different types of microorganisms which have an ability to mobilize nutritionally important elements from non-usable to usable form through biological process. Biofertilizers are not fertilizers which directly increase soil fertility by adding the nutrients. Biofertilizer, a term which refer to all such microorganisms which add, fix, mobilize, or solubilize the nutrient in simpler form which is easily used by plants. So there is the significance lies in their ability to supplement, mobilize soil nutrient with minimal use of non-renewable sources and as components of integrated plant nutrient system. Biofertilizers are more aptly termed as microbial, bacterial, or fungal inoculates. Biofertilizer add nutrients through the natural processes of fixing atmospheric nitrogen, solubilizing phosphorus, and stimulating plant growth through the synthesis of growth promoting substances. Biofertilizer can be expected to reduce. So, the use of chemical fertilizers and pesticides, the microorganisms in biofertilizer restore the soil natural nutrient cycle and build soil organic matter. Through the use of biofertilizers, healthy plants can be grown while enhancing the sustainability and the health of soil. Biofertilizers are very similar to compost tea, so they can be thought of as the engineered compost tea where only the microbes that are most beneficial are used. So what are the importance of biofertilizers? The increase in the productivity during the green revolution period is accompanied by exponential increase in consumption of non-renewable sources of energy in review of the fast diminishing energy sources combined with their escalating cost. Then benefits of biofertilizers. First is germination increase up to 20%, improve seedling emergence and growth, increase yield from 10 to 40%, improve the quality of fruit and keeping the quality, saving of 25 to 35% in organic fertilizers, increase the availability and uptake of nitrogen and phosphorus in plants, improve the status of soil fertility, maintain good soil health, and crop productivity. Then, due to the use of biofertilizer, we can improve the fertility of the soil, germination, which will be increased up to 20%. We can improve the seedling emergence and growth. We can increase the yield, it may be 10 to 40%, improve the quality of fruit and keeping the quality, saving of 25 to 35% nitrogen, and the percent 25 to 35% in organic fertilizer, increase the availability and uptake of nitrogen and phosphorus in plants, and improve the status of soil fertility, maintain good soil health, and crop productivity.